4, 3, 2, 1, and we're live. On the podcast today, I'm very happy to have an old friend of mine. We went to school together at the University of South Florida. He's now transferred to Oklahoma State University, where he is killing it. Chase Ferguson, nice to be with you, mate. Nice to see you again.
Thank you for having me, Harry.
How are you? How's your schedule
Pretty good,
been?
man. Yeah, we've got a really good schedule, a lot of top matches. We've been doing, I would say, pretty well so far. We've come through a couple of really tough matches, and yeah, I'm really happy with where we're at.
Awesome. And I've had a little look at your schedule coming up. You've got a really tough run of games for spring break. You guys are going to California, which should be awesome. I believe you've got, was it UCLA, Pepperdine, and USC, right?
Yes, yeah.
Awesome. You looking forward to that?
Yeah, obviously, spring break in Cali, we're spending the entire week there. Like, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, really great matches as well. It'll be a great test for us and really looking forward to it.
I'm jealous. Well, I wanted to get started with a little bit about your upbringing and your juniors career, just to sort of set the tone for how you got into college. And I had a little look through your ITF page, and I saw you reached a career high juniors ranking of 128. You did some traveling around. I saw you played some international tournaments as well. How would you describe your juniors career?
Yeah, I quit tennis for a little bit, between like the age of like 13 to 15. So kind of got into like ITF juniors a little bit late. Wasn't really too focused on traveling so much until I did well at the Taragon G1 one year, maybe like 2016, 2017. Got a while, got into AO main draw, and I made third round, which kind of sparked the interest of traveling and trying to make the other slams. Which is kind of why I started traveling to Italy and Asia and stuff like that. Before that, honestly, I didn't even think about. There was really no chance of making slams. It's tough coming out of Australia. You have to pay a lot of money to go and play tournaments and such like that. I gave it a shot. Didn't work out too well. My game wasn't the best for slow clay when I went to Italy, but it was a great experience nevertheless.
What made you stop playing for those couple years?
Yeah, so like up to basically under 12s. I was winning a lot, and I feel like that was kind of where my only enjoyment out of tennis was coming from, was just purely winning. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I was a late bloomer physically. It took me a while to go through puberty and stuff like that. So, transitioning into the 14 and unders, a lot of guys were bigger, stronger, and I was struggling a lot. That year when I was 13, I went like 1 out of 16 in nationals. It was really tough for me, obviously, like just being so used to winning and stuff like that. And so at that point, I realized, if there was no winning, then there was no enjoyment. And so I took a step away from tennis. And when I came back, I had a different approach to it. I was much more invested in just the enjoyment aspect of it, and being able to hang out with friends that were a lot more like similar to me. And so, yeah, that's how I'm still here.
Wow, I think that's a really nice sort of point to hang on to for a lot of juniors, is just to have a bit of perspective and to enjoy the process a little bit more than just focusing on purely the results side of things. I think we can all learn a bit from that. So you're traveling around, you've played Australian Open juniors. When did the conversation on college start coming up for you?
And that was very late. I actually had trouble getting into college because I feel like in Australia especially, if you're not really looking at college, you're not paying attention to what classes you take and such like that. And it starts, I think, at like year 9. So I hadn't taken the right classes. I decided to go to college really late.
Do you remember what month it was?
I don't remember exactly. No, but I mean, the main reason why I went was basically because I went on like a little tour playing futures, and I remember I did okay the first week. I qualified and lost, and after that, I just couldn't mentally recover. Like I felt like I should have won my first round, and literally tanked the next 2 weeks. And at that point, I realized that I was just like, look, I'm just not mentally ready for this. Like, if this is how I'm reacting now, like, there's no way I'm going to be able to try and play like full time. If I'm not able to like rebound from matches, from losses, and that's pretty much why I decided like yeah, I need to go to college.
Okay, and was it Ashley that got in touch with you from USF?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure about nowadays, but at least when I was entering college, a lot of it was done through like Facebook Messenger. And I was actually supposed to go to Texas Tech at first, but the assistant there got a head coaching job at Texas A&M, and which opened the door for me to go to South Florida.
Okay. What was it like adjusting to life at college? Let's start with on the court. What were the big differences between, your juniors career and then going into college?
Biggest thing, and it kind of still is the fact that like how it's a team environment, and going up through juniors, it was definitely much more individualized, and so what you kind of didn't really affect everyone else so much. Um, but yeah, I mean, once I got into college, I mean, I kind of took on like a leadership role, whether I wanted to at the time or not. But yeah, I mean, some sometimes I didn't have the best behavior, and that kind of affected the team a lot. And I wasn't really ready to admit that. I didn't really want to admit that. Yeah, hard pill to swallow, but I feel like I've definitely learned from that.
Yeah, awesome. It was similar to me actually. Although I was probably looking for a leadership role when I went into college, but I felt like college gave me a really nice platform to do something in leadership, because you're working in such a tight knit team and you're living together and you're
Yeah,
eating together, you're traveling together. But yeah, I mean, tennis is an individual sport, and a lot of people that go into college from a tennis background aren't ready for that. They've had
yeah,
a whole juniors career of like training with their coach, and they're collaborating with their coach on what they need, and all of a sudden there's 10 people's needs that need to be met by the coach, and it's not as specialized sometimes.
yeah.
But there are a variety of coaches in the college realm, and I think you've experienced that with your transfer, how there's a big difference between how some coaches make the program and how other coaches make the program. What's the big difference between USF and Oklahoma State?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, our head coach is Dustin Taylor. He was the assistant at Virginia when they three-peated. Coached numerous Americans that have reached top 100. So obviously just a wealth of like experience and knowledge. And I mean, the biggest thing with him, he's just really helped me to understand the game better. And also he knows how to deal with my personality a little bit. I mean, he's seen a lot of guys, and he understands that everyone needs something different, which I feel like in college sometimes that gets overlooked. I feel like probably like a lot of the coaches just kind of like try and generalize players, like you have to do this, everyone's doing this, like you need to do this. But I haven't had that with DT at all, which has been a massive help for me. And then uh, assistant coach came in this year, Martin Redlicky, who was one in college, played at UCLA, obviously unbelievable player. So it's just been like really great in terms of not only like the tennis, that like the knowledge that they can give us, but just also like kind of understanding individuals and how everyone's different and stuff like that.
And if I could just dive a little bit deeper into what you've specifically learned about your game this year, under their guidance, what if you could maybe pick one or two things? I think that would be really helpful.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, especially my last year at South Florida, I kind of felt like I didn't really know what I was doing on court. Obviously hitting the ball and whatever, but I didn't really understand the game tactically. And just since coming here, it was obviously a work in progress in the fall. But I feel like I figured it out about halfway through. Just playing with like gears, the variety of things. One of the other biggest things is like spacing out, and I kind of always figured that I wanted to take the ball early, like I wanted to stay on the baseline and stuff like that. But realistically, I mean, you're just cutting yourself short on time all the time. I feel like what's made me really comfortable on court is just like spacing out, staying a little bit further back, just seeing the game like completely in front of me. Like if you're on the baseline, like balls are coming past, like you're hitting them from the side of you, which is a lot more difficult than when it's in front of you. So.
And how about off the court, mate? When you got to college, I remember the two of us, we used to spend a lot of time together away from our sports, went to a fair few parties together. We went to school in South Florida. So that's sort of how it was. What can you tell us about the time off the court? Obviously, like there were some highs and we spent a lot of time enjoying ourselves, but there's also some lows there as well, because you're spending a lot of time away from your family. It's a long way from Australia.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I kind of had a few pillars. One, probably the initial one was my tennis results. If I was doing well in tennis, then I was relatively okay. The problem with my last year at South Florida was, I hadn't been home for a long time because of COVID. So that was taking a pretty big effect on me. Like there's a lot of strain. And then my results weren't good at all. So I lost those two pillars. I didn't have my family and friends back home, didn't have my results to lean on. And so I felt like at the time, especially, I just really didn't have anything. So it was a tough time for sure. And I mean, I guess like it's a good thing about being in a team though. I mean, I had a lot of great guys around me that, they took me seriously. They took my issues seriously, and they were really helpful in that, and they were patient, and, I think they really helped me through that time.
That's a really nice introspection that you have about your pillars and sort of knowing what you need to have in your life in order to be happy and successful on the court. It's so often in my own professional career where, if I don't have one of my pillars, the others fall down as well. It's like,
for sure. Yeah.
It's like you really need a comfortable environment all around you. And that's sort of what I pride myself on when I'm doing recruitment for someone is, okay, everyone's different. Everyone's an individual. Some people value their tennis above everything else. Other people really value a social life. Other people need the sun, and can't play indoors. And so for me, it's I know if I can't find them an environment that they're going to be happy with, then the tennis isn't going to work either.
Yeah, for sure.
Was education ever a pillar for you? Was it ever something that you?
Which is strange, obviously coming from an Asian background, but my parents never really pushed it so hard. It was a lot about sports. And so, I mean, coming into college, I really didn't care too much for education. I mean, I picked communication, which actually, like, I enjoyed a lot doing. So that was a positive. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of secondary to me. So.
Okay. And you're in your 5th year now, right?
Yes.
Are you doing a master's degree or are you just finishing?
No, I'm just like, I mean, I'm taking a major, but I won't have time to finish it. So I've got 2 minors that I'm going to try and finish.
Okay, cool. How about after college? Because, I mean, you've got, this is your last year and I know you have something planned, I'm sure. There's a tennis aspect that we can touch on in a little bit. But how about outside of tennis? Could you see yourself working in any other industry if it wasn't tennis?
No, I mean, I feel like it's almost been instilled in me since I was young that like office jobs just absolutely suck. So I never really thought that I could get into something like that. But I've always thought about and kind of wanted to get into coaching. I feel like something like college coaching, for example, would be something that I'm interested in. I feel like, coaching like, elite players is quite enriching. And I feel like that would be, it would make me pretty happy to do.
I think given your experiences, I think you'd be a great asset to a lot of guys that are coming in and yeah, I can definitely see you in a role like that. But obviously you're going to try and play some tournaments and have a crack at the professional circuit after.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to give myself like a year or two to seriously invest. And I'll see how it goes, hopefully things go well. But yeah.
How do you think college has prepared you for a life in the professional circuit? So you did touch on the fact that you tried before college to travel and tour, and you probably weren't ready for it. What do you think's changed, and what do you think college has given you?
I mean, like for exactly those reasons why I came to college. I mean, I've definitely matured physically, gotten a lot stronger, growing into my body. Which is obviously a massive help, especially in the men's game, with how physical it is. Second one's just mentally. The great thing about college is that you have so many matches, and the fact that it's a team environment and you really don't have an option to not try. Because when you're on tour, like you're just on your own. Like if you're not feeling it for a week, you can just be like, whatever. But you definitely can't do that in college. And so I think that's really helped me a lot to just, one, like how I tried to play a few tournaments beforehand, where I couldn't, reset after a loss. I think college has helped massively with that. We just move on like so much faster. And two, just understanding, losses are going to happen. Like you're not going to play your best. You're not going to play your best a lot of the time. But it's really just about trying to like dig out wins, and that's kind of what makes a tennis player. So,
absolutely. And I think the absolute last thing I'd like to finish on is what advice you would give to younger players looking at college, and even yourself. Maybe what advice would you have given to yourself that year before you went to college?
Really feel like, it's a tricky one because, it kind of goes both ways when you're looking at schools. I mean, everyone's going to say the right things. Everyone's going to say the things that you want to hear. And I think it helps a lot if you know some people, in college already, or there's some people on the team that you can kind of talk to about it. But really just finding the right place for you. I mean, above everything else, if you can find somewhere where you fit into, whether that's with the teammates that you feel like you get along with best, or the coaching staff, whatever, I think that's the biggest key.
Absolutely, mate. Chase Ferguson, thank you so much, buddy. It's been a massive pleasure for me to see you again and chat to you again, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to find some positives to take away from this. And yeah, I'd just like to thank you wholeheartedly for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.